your insight. We will, of course, bring you all the updates that come out of the Middle East and the Gaza conflict. We now move over to Europe next, where Russian air defense units have downed 2 guided aircraft bombs, 3 projectiles of a Czech-made Vampire multiple rocket launch systems, and 291 Ukrainian fixed-winged drones, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. The ministry has said that Russian warplanes and drones also struck drone production facilities and control centers within Ukraine. This comes as falling debris from destroyed Ukrainian drones disrupted railway power supply and train operations in the part of the Volgograd region, as per the administration of the region in Russia's south. Governor Andrei Borcharov has said that there were no injuries as a result of the attacks. Moreover, Russia's Civil Aviation Authority, Rosaviatskaya, also said that it has suspended flights soon after midnight at the airport in the city of Volgograd. We're now once again joined by Shruti Dasgupta, who is an international affairs expert. She joins us live from New Delhi. Shruti, thank you very much for joining us on the program. What are your thoughts on this, once again, escalation, cross-border hostilities, aerial hostilities, this increase of the usage of drones? How can you analyse modern warfare, especially when it comes to the Ukraine war? I mean, the use of drones here, especially in this war and in modern warfare, is substantial. How do you analyse it?
The drone warfare has changed the game for everybody around the world. You've realized that you no longer need boots on the ground. You just need a very clever system and satellites in the skies that you can access, and you can take down the largest of foes. Specifically in terms of Russia and Ukraine, once the drones started flying after Operation Spiderweb, we've seen, although drones were flying back and forth earlier as well, but since Spiderweb, the drone tech has kind of taken off to another level. They have proven that they have intel, credible intel, usable intel, that and satellite link network, which is very accurate in its prediction of how and what is going on behind enemy lines. And Ukraine is repeatedly using all of this. This is, I believe, the second time that they've attacked Moscow. And despite Trump's warning that Zelensky should not go after Moscow, he has continued to batter into the regions of Russia, specifically its capital. Now, this entire scenario shows me that there is a lot of money being pumped in through the Western forces, and they want to take it to a level where drones are irritant enough for Russia to take on a larger step and make it into a bigger conflict where bigger bombs start flying, and then the West would have a legitimate reason to step into this conflict via their own this thing, rather than using Ukraine as a proxy.
Yes, and this comes after comments that that the Kremlin made, where the West is causing this war to continue and has prolonged it. What are your thoughts about that after we have once again seen nearly 300 drones sent over from Ukraine? What are your thoughts on the current state of this conflict?
Ukraine on its own, according to its economy, is almost, it's hollow now. It owes so many nations, including the US and Italy and Germany and France, all of these nations, it owes so much in terms of loans and aid. If the war even comes to a full stop now, most of the country will just be paying off whatever they have taken on to fight off Russia. So the war for Ukraine is a complete loss, whether it wins or loses. The war for Russia right now is it wants to safeguard its borders, and the West, specifically NATO, under the guidance of USA, wants its air bases in Ukraine to completely encircle. If you look at the map, you'll realize that apart from 3 or 4 of the Eurasian nations, which were formerly part of USSR, all of them have submitted to NATO. So they're basically pushing Russia to a corner, and Ukraine was the last straw on the camel's back. So the West is responsible for what's happening in Ukraine. Russia is only fighting to keep its sovereignty. The fog of war is such that what is right, what is wrong, cannot be determined in totality. There's not black and white. There's a lot of gray zones. But with this, the money continues to pour in, the aid continues to pour in, and West is definitely the sole reason why Ukraine continues to be at war. On its own, it cannot continue to fight off Putin.
Shruti, would critics from the West, would they not say that it is Putin who started this war, and that these European nations who are allied to Ukraine do not want to sit there and watch an aggressive force like Vladimir Putin's Russia into a sovereign nation? The European nations would say that they are defending Europe's sovereignty here.
So, I mean, I'd like to draw a little bit of parallel. Let's look at the Iran and Israel conflict for a minute in context of Russia. Israel was allowed to attack Iran because Iran was supposedly a threat to its sovereignty. Now, if you take that particular, and the West supported all of Israel's attack on Iran, USA actively participated in that attack. Now take that entire context towards East and say that NATO wants to build US air bases in Ukraine, which is the backyard of USA. They will cut off, they will monitor, and they will cut off the Black Sea access, they will monitor what is happening in Russia.
And so Russia has a history of annexing parts of Ukraine, as it did with Crimea in 2014.
Crimea happened in 2014. Crimea happened in 2014,
but the
where a regime change was talked about in 2013 from the US forces themselves. The US leaders went on record saying that there will be a people-powered movement that will lead to a regime change. And that is exactly one of the reasons, so that it is not cut off from Black Sea, that it went and annexed Crimea. And the Crimean people actually vote in Russia. They have voting powers. They are not slaves. They are not indoctrined, or they are not controlled. So it is a way of looking at things. It is a perspective that we need to gain, that Russia may look like the aggressor, but it not truly is. If it really wanted to, it could have blasted a whole lot more of ammunition towards Ukraine and completely killed it.
Shruti, Russia have targeted civilian infrastructure on multiple occasions. Just track your mind back to Sumy, back just a couple of months ago, when 34 people were killed in one day when a Russian ballistic missile hit the city of Sumy.
Yes, but do you understand, a ballistic missile can cause a lot more of damage. If they're only claiming 34, then they're only claiming the civilian that were collateral damage. They're not telling you exactly what they actually hit. Okay. The Ukrainians have a history of fudging the truth with the lies, and I don't really believe too much of what Zelensky and his regime put out, because they tend to manufacture their narrative so that they look like the victim and they can pull more aid and more sympathy towards themselves. Okay. Had they not insisted on on becoming a NATO power and having air bases, till date Russia does not want it. It's one of its major requirements in peace that Ukraine will not be allowed to join NATO, otherwise it will be completely encircled. Nobody wants their backyard covered with enemy ammunition, and that's exactly why this war is happening.
Okay, Shruti Dasgupta, thank you very much as always for joining us on the programme. Now we move over to the Indo-Pacific, where in an interview